Hey, everybody, this is Robert Kinsler.
And this is TJR.
And, TJ, I got to thinking today, in terms about 2023. Early in the year, we got new music from the Zombies. Then recently, we got new music from the Rolling Stones. And now, of all the heavy hitters from the 1960s, we are about to get new music from the Beatles. Together and apart, the Beatles have always had a talent for the unexpected. And now 2023 brings one of the most anticipated releases of their long and endlessly eventful history, Now and Then, which is supposedly going to be the last ever Beatles song that we're ever going to hear. The song was written and sung by John Lennon, developed and worked on by Paul McCartney, George Harrison, and Ringo Starr. I think you know those names.
No shit, Sherlock.
And now finally it's been finished by Paul and Ringo over 4 decades later, and we're going to get that.
We also want to talk about the fact that we are going to be getting the re-releases of the Red and Blue albums. We're going to be getting them in expanded forms, and we're going to talk about that too. But first, let's talk about Now and Then. Thursday, November 2nd, where, of course, that's when the actual track releases.
Right.
Both digitally and physically. But the day prior, on the 1st, there will be a 12-minute Now and Then, the Beatles' Last Song, short documentary film, written and directed by Oliver Murray. And so there's a little, I guess, like a little very, very, very short teaser for that little mini documentary out right now. But the actual film will debut the day before. So that's something to go check out. Of course, Robert and I will be reacting to the new single once it's made available. We'll both listen to it on streaming, and we will react to it and probably the short little 12-minute film as soon as we can possibly post the video. Want to talk really quickly about how this is being released. Physically speaking, it's being released as a vinyl 7-inch and as a cassette. It is not being released in any kind of CD single format. I'm guessing that's because there's probably no market for that.
Mm-hmm.
And who would think that we'd see a day when there was no market for a CD single, but there is a market for a vinyl and cassette.
And yet we're getting
single.
a cassette. Yeah, we're getting a cassette, not a CD. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy to me. I will be getting neither, to be honest, because I don't need to purchase this on CD or cassette, and not for the prices they're asking. I don't know if you've seen the prices. Anywhere between $19 and $22 approximately. Yeah, no, not for that price. I don't. I'm happy just to stream the track when it comes out November 2nd. Yeah, I'll be fine with that.
Me too.
So just a few little things I thought I'd bring up now that all the dust is settled, now that we know everything and everything's official. When this last Beatle track, as they're calling it, was first announced, and I do believe them when they say it's going to be the last track. I don't think there's going to be anything else. But when it was first announced, McCartney just made a very vague reference about using AI. And that sparked quite a bit of outrage and controversy over the internet, because it was somehow believed that the fact that AI was being used meant that there would be some kind of fakery. Fake AI created instruments, fake AI created voices. And I'll admit, I wondered too, because there was a lot of questions left unanswered. And of course, as it turned out, all he was referring to is the fact that they're using the technology created by Peter Jackson's team for the Get Back film, the demixing technology, which uses AI technology. And that's all they were doing. Everything was real. Nothing was faked. The other bit of controversy when it was released was the fact that George Harrison, and I should back up and say that initially, this was the track, Now and Then, was supposed to be on the 3rd anthology volume. They had Free as a Bird for the first one, Real Love for the second one. This was supposed to be on it, but then it was dropped. And we would find out later the reason was because that George Harrison felt that he just didn't want to do it. The reasons actually were not given. So there was some controversy about that, regarding that, like, why are they doing this? George Harrison said he didn't want it done. And his widow, Olivia Harrison, and even in your story on your blog, where you talk about all the details. And if you want to read more, it's on Robert's blog, Rock and Roll Truth. Be sure to check that out. But there is a quote from her. Do you want to go ahead and read that, Robert?
Yeah, thanks, TJ. Back in 1995, after several days in the studio working on the track, George felt the technical issues with the demo were insurmountable and concluded that it was not possible to finish the track to a high enough standard. If he were here today, Danny, and I know he would have wholeheartedly joined Paul and Ringo in completing the recording of Now and Then, end quote.
Yeah. So I guess there will always be people who will say, well, how do we know they're telling the truth? How do we know they're not being motivated by money? And there are people who will always subjectively project possibilities that we have no way of knowing if they're true or not. And they'll project them as if they're somehow true because they thought of it. So I think we have to just kind of assume, yeah, that was the reason why. I'm perfectly fine with that. So yeah, we just wanted to kind of bring some of that up.
And I think we would both agree. I mean, we haven't heard it yet, but I am really looking forward to hearing it. You know, who knows? Maybe it's super great. Maybe it's not as strong as we would like. But you know what? I'm definitely count me as curious.
I have heard a few AI created versions of it because the demo that this is being taken from has been bootlegged. Bootlegs have been out there, and a few people on the internet who are very talented did create some AI versions with the rest of the Beatles singing and instrumentation. But that was all done through AI fakery, for lack of a better word. It still takes talent to create this stuff. And everybody that is the creators who have posted these have said openly, this is AI created. I'm just showing you what we can do. They're not trying to claim ownership. They're just saying, look, here is what you can do with this. And some of the results have been very impressive, in my opinion. It's not real, and I know that, but it still is impressive. I don't know if they're still out on YouTube right now. I have a feeling that if I go look right now, they've probably been taken down by now. But there were some out there. I have heard the track, but I'm not going to say a word because the final product that we hear next week could be very different from what I've heard previously. So I'm not going to say one word. We're just going to wait until we both react to it. And of course, that'll be happening as soon as we can. So now this brings us to the next bit of news, which is the re-release of the Red and Blue albums. Earlier this year, we were all kind of hoping that the next big re-release was going to be Rubber Soul. We got Revolver last year, and this goes back to, I think it was around 2015 or so when Sgt. Pepper was released. You know, and each year we've gotten these great remixes. And I know there have been some people who don't like them. And if you don't like them, that's fine. You've got the original mixes you can listen to. Most of us, and I know you and I are among those who have really enjoyed these remixes.
Oh, yeah.
Really appreciated them. And they've come out in various formats, but they've come out in these wonderful super deluxe editions that have never disappointed to me. I've always been very pleased with them. The remix, the bonus content, the books, always been very pleased.
Yeah.
So we were expecting
the nickels.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We were expecting Rubber Soul this year. Everybody was. And then we found out to our surprise, there had been a story leaked that instead we were getting the Red and Blue albums. And everybody was very disappointed about the possibility. And there was a lot of conjecture about what was going to happen with that. Was the new track Now and Then going to be included? Would the other anthology tracks be included? And this is one of my first bones of contention with this, is they're not including Free as a Bird and Real Love. I was really hoping they do this because they are including Now and Then. That's going to be the last track on the Blue albums, but they're not doing it with the others. And I'm disappointed by that. I was kind of hoping they would do this. Any thoughts?
I'm in agreement too, TJ. I agree with you. Yeah.
It would have maybe induced me a little bit more to want to buy it. We, of course, both, we own the full catalogs. We've got the Beatles in mono box set on CD.
Right, exactly.
We've got the stereo 2009 re-releases. We've got that. We've been buying the remixes as they come out. Are you planning on buying this?
I don't think, at least not new. I mean, if I get it, maybe, like used for a more
Mhm.
reasonable price, I might be willing to. But yeah, again, it's, unless maybe you're a collector where you have to have every title and all the artwork and stuff, I guess then you're going to want to. But for me, it's primarily with the Beatles about the music. So I don't think that there's enough here, for me
Yeah,
to get both these collections.
I feel the same way. I just can't see myself purchasing it. I think had those tracks been included, I might have been a little more inclined, maybe, possibly. I was waiting to see what they were going to do. Both collections' track lists have been expanded. And it says here in the press release that you shared with me, with all the songs mixed in stereo and Dolby Atmos.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm wondering then, does that mean the CD itself will have a Dolby Atmos mix, or is there going to be like a digital download card for Dolby Atmos?
Oh, I hadn't thought of that. That's
I'm
true.
still wondering about that. Now, that could be a selling point
Mm-hmm.
for a lot of people
True.
like us who we don't see the point in owning this at this point. Now,
That's
we
right.
should mention that, like, for instance, you look at the Red album. It's going to have a lot of songs that were not previously on it, but it's a good majority of this has never been remixed previously. So the Red album is now going to contain 38 tracks, 30 of which have new mixes for 2023. And songs by George Harrison will be featured for the first time. Among the new tracks will be I Saw Her Standing There, Twist and Shout, This Boy, Roll Over Beethoven, You Really Got a Hold on Me, You Can't Do That, If I Needed Someone, Taxman, Got to Get You Into My Life, I'm Only Sleeping, Here, There, and Everywhere, and Tomorrow Never Knows.
Those are some pretty great songs.
Yeah. I noticed the inclusion of cover songs
Yeah.
that had not been previously included. And I think that's interesting that they're including those. I look at these two, the Red and Blue albums, as kind of like career retrospective sets.
Mm-hmm.
For the person who maybe wants to explore the Beatles, but has never really explored the albums. These are a good start. In fact, this is where I started with the Beatles, was the Red and Blue albums. And then from there, I got the albums themselves. And then I didn't need them, the Red and Blue albums anymore. Mm-hmm. But I think it's interesting they're including some of the covers. Of course, we've got George Harrison songs. I also think when I look at like tracks like Tomorrow Never Knows being included, which I'm glad it's there because I think it is one of the most, how shall I say, innovative tracks the Beatles have ever recorded.
Oh, yeah.
So I think it's important to include that particular track. Probably the only song that I would say was more innovative was A Day in the Life. I will say that even though I'm probably not going to get this, these added tracks, I think, give you a better overview of their progress during this time period.
I agree.
Now, the Blue albums come with 9 additional tracks, not as many. Within You and Without You, Dear Prudence, Glass Onion, Blackbird, Hey Bulldog, Oh Darling, I Want You, She's So Heavy, I Me Mine, and of course the new song Now and Then. And again, I already felt that the Blue albums pretty much covered that period really well. This covers it a little bit better. You get to hear a bit more of some of the more experimental stuff from the White album. Finally, the Yellow Submarine album, which only had 4 original tracks, finally gets some representation with Hey Bulldog, a great track that gets
fantastic. One of the all-time great Beatles tracks. Yeah,
absolutely. And so I think it helps. But then again, of course, you also get the new track.
I would say for people that don't have any of the Beatles albums, either on vinyl or on audio CD or anything, these might be a great place to start, though, because you really are introduced to kind of their growth and the diversity of their material and stuff. These are some pretty solid collections. I think we would both agree.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. In fact, before we started shooting this video, I thought to myself, I more than likely won't buy this for myself, but I would definitely buy these for people that I know that I believe should be introduced to the Beatles. I would definitely do this. Yeah. I would definitely pick this up maybe for one of my nieces or nephews who are really into music, but really haven't explored the Beatles, definitely I would. That's a good reason to go out and buy this if you want to give it as a gift. And of course, these are coming out during the holiday season. So real quickly, we do want to discuss just the pricing here in the United States. $76 for the 3LP red set and the 3LP blue set. The CD sets are just 2 CDs, much more affordable. And that's, if I'm buying any gifts, that's what I'm doing. I'm buying them the CD set. Right. It is $30 for the red and the blue separately, $60 for the 4 CD box set if you want to give someone the entire thing. And also there is a 6 LP set for the red and blue, and that's about $150.
Wow.
But yeah, don't hold your breath. If you're expecting something from me from Christmas, don't hold your breath on that one.
I was going to say, if I ask some of my loved ones and friends for that for Christmas, they're going to hit me and say, no, thanks, buddy.
Yeah, I could see this. Yeah, the CD set's reasonable. So any other thoughts about any of this that we want to discuss? Wrap it up here.
We've probably, TJ, we've probably said this before, but I'm always astounded by, maybe I'm not astounded because their music and everything that they did to pop culture and their amazing influence. But isn't it amazing how the Beatles continue to make such big news well over 50 years after they all got together in the same studio, at the same time? I mean, it's pretty phenomenal, So
it is.
I mean, what can you say beyond that, really, right?
And it's because their music has still been popular to younger generations. That's the thing. It's not like it's just us older folks that are excited about it. As a musician, as I played at gigs, and I played lots of cover gigs, as you know, there was always reaction whenever I would play a Beatles song. There was always reaction across all age groups, across all ethnicities, across all whatever. Every time I played Beatles songs. And that's why it still gathers excitement. And
exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I was disappointed we didn't get Rubber Soul. Hopefully we're getting that next year. And that's, like I said, I know all of these are going to get remixed and re-released. Maybe they won't get box sets, but they'll at least get remixed and re-released. So yeah, I don't see the point in buying these at this point for that reason, but enough of that.
I agree.
But I definitely would see the point in getting it as a gift for others. With that said, now that all the cards are on the table, tell us what you think. Share with us your thoughts. And again, we just real quick want to mention here, you've got all the details along with links to pre-order on your blog, which is Rock and Roll Truth. There is a link in the description if you want to check that out. And also real quick, I'll just give a quick shout out. It's Halloween this weekend. I am putting out some Halloween videos, changing formats just a little bit during that time, be discussing some Halloween movies. Superfan and I will be discussing the film The Shining. And we haven't seen that film in over 40 years since it first was released. And so we watched it again and kind of discussed that one, had a couch conversation about that one. And I'm also releasing a video where I discuss 2 very unique and different vampire genre films that blew me away, astounded me, and that I wanted to just talk about. And finally, I'm also going to release a video for a single that I recorded of the Oingo Boingo song Dead Man's Party. And that's coming out on Sunday. So I just want to put that out there.
I'll tell everyone real quick. I actually, back when I was writing for the Orange County Register, I got to see the last ever Oingo Boingo performance. It was on Halloween night back in 1995. So I definitely am looking forward to hearing your single.
Cool. Thank you. I appreciate it. And that's cool that you got to see that. Wow.
Yeah.
And I envy you sometimes, some of the things you've had the chance to see. I wish I could have, but yeah, very cool. So thank you so much, everybody, for watching. If you like these videos, hit like, hit subscribe, and hit the bell notification icon so you never miss a video. If you'd like to show some extra support, go to the Patreon page and make a monthly pledge. Patron supporters receive exclusive weekly videos not available on this channel. And but mostly thank you for stopping by. But can't wait to hear what y'all have to say. And we'll see you all in the next video. Take care, everybody. Bye.
Bye, everyone.